pleasant good morning and a warm welcome to your breakfast program, Good Morning Sierra Leone. Each new live from the Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation Television on Channel 31. As you know, this program always starts with analysis and divergence of views on news and current affairs happenings in the country. Today happens to be the 11th day of May 2026. And of course, we are your presenters, Dennis Fraser.
And Dennis is teaming up with Francis Barnard. Only Dennis. How was the weekend?
The weekend was powerful. I must say a lot of happenings.
Did you go to church?
Of course, that's not the question you should ask for. Right. You know, of course, that would definitely happen. And well, not too high is the fact that the 300 days government-led campaign, activism on zero preventable deaths, enters this 72 day, and that's a massive leap. And of course, we continue counting down because
I know you are a member of that team.
Definitely have to be because this has to do with the lives of pregnant mothers and of course newborns, and so that is very, very much important.
Coming up in the program this morning, but before we go to our menu, let's talk about our quote of the day, which is from American author Thomas Martin, and it says, "Every moment and every event of every man's life on earth plants something in his soul."
And definitely food for thought as always. And that thing can be something good or something bad. But I always expect that we go for what is good, because what is good keeps the soul.
So in our menu today, we exclusively take a look at what the Interreligious Council of Sierra Leone make of the proposed national policy on religious tolerance and practice to formalize interfaith harmony and regulate religious activities in the country, Dennis. So, but you are invited to be part of this program. You can do so by sending your comments, views, and concerns to the number on your screen. The number is 030073719. You have questions for the Interreligious Council, just send them to that number, or you can also do so by going to our Facebook page, SLBC.SA. Send them there. I will definitely read them out, Dennis, if they are in place.
Definitely, I know our viewers out there might be wanting to know a lot more, you know, especially around this Interreligious Council proposed national policy on religious tolerance. That's something that is really a firm fabric of our society. We are meant for this international.
Definitely.
And just as we are going through the courts, you know, something pierced my mind too, knowing that, of course,
every moment and every event of every man's life on earth plants something in his soul.
And something planted in my soul this morning is giving me a reminder that I'm 11 days into my combat.
Thank you very much, Dennis. Well, this is Good Morning Sierra Leone. You can be part of it. The number is on your screen, or go to our Facebook page, slbc.sa.
Welcome back. The program you're watching is Good Morning Sierra Leone, and of course, it's now time for us to usher in our guests and begin the conversation here this morning. And as of May 2026, the government of Sierra Leone, through the Ministry of Social Welfare, is actively developing a national policy on religious tolerance and practice to formalize interfaith harmony and regulate religious activities in the country. This initiative follows rising concerns over hate speech, extremism, and conflict related to cultural and religious practices. Key components of the proposed 2026 policy framework include regulatory measures, mandatory certification, code of conduct, focus on coexistence and enforcement.
However, certain religious leaders and critics, including former Attorney General Joseph Fitzgerald Kamara, have criticized the policy as unconstitutional overreach, arguing that it places the secret under state control. But the Ministry of Social Welfare, led by the Minister Melrose Kamenti, argues that the policy is a necessary tool for maintaining national security and protecting Sierra Leone's reputation for peace.
But of course, what does the Inter-Religious Council make of this particular policy? For that, we have a grounded panel here in the studio, a well-grounded panel, which of course erudite scholars to delve in the issues deeper this morning. Well, in the studio, we've been joined by Pastor Favor Nima, General Secretary, Pentecostal Fellowship of Sierra Leone. Good morning, Pastor Nima.
Good morning, morning, viewers and
listeners. And we also have Sheikh Mohammed Teslim Thomas. He is the National Mufti, United Council of Imams.
Good morning.
And we'll also be joining. We'll also be joined by Sheikh Ibrahim Bari. He is an executive member of Inter-Religious Council of Sierra Leone. Good morning, gentlemen, and welcome to the SLBC.
Good morning.
So the government is proposing a national policy on religious tolerance and practice. According to them, it is to formalize interfaith harmony and regulate religious activities. This, according to the government, is coming. I mean, in recent times, we've seen where hate speech coming from. Well, I wouldn't say religious leaders, because we've not really seen a religious leader saying things against another religion in Sierra Leone, but it's coming from
some religious
scholars, if I could say so. What's your take? Let me start with you, Mr. Pastor Favor. You are coming from the Pentecostal Fellowship of Sierra Leone. Pastor Favor Espluma, what do you make up of this?
Also known as atopic dermatitis.
The policy itself, coming from the Ministry of Social Welfare, is one that will not frown at. Some of us have looked at it and we see some good things in it. But there are critical areas that we are concerned about, which we are calling for more dialogue, more deliberations before it becomes like a public document or maybe taken to Parliament. It's still a proposed policy, draft policy, so we are still discussing on it. But like I said, we have issues with it.
So, Pastor Numa, let's talk about whether you were involved in getting this document together, because this has to do with the religious body in Sierra Leone. So if you are putting a document together that has to do with Dennis and Francis, then they must be involved in making sure that this document become a reality. Were you involved?
I think I don't know if you have a copy of this one here. It's been created and published by Reverend Father Leone. Excuse me. Former Bangura PhD, Head of Department of Political Science for the College, University of Sierra Leone. So I think the first phase of it was a consultant that was hired by the Ministry of Social Welfare, who puts together what we are talking about. And recently, through the Inter-Religious Council, we saw a tour. They are taking the document now for pastors and imams to give their opinion on what has been put as a draft. So, like you asked, what has been our concern first was maybe you should have sound the opinions of these religious leaders, heads of institutions, to get their opinions, to see what you may want to put together as a policy, if it is something that is that sounds the general view of church leaders. Because, like I said, what we see in this document now, many areas of it serves as a means of controlling people who are supposed to be moral guardians, who are supposed to be one that gives advice, one that prays for the state, prays for government, according to what we have in the scripture. So we see that most of the things that are here are not clear. And if it is not clear and it becomes law, it is a recipe for confusion. They are saying peace. They are saying we want this, we recommend the social welfare ministry, but we are saying the sanity they want. This document has a tendency to create confusion.
Now, Pastor Favor, just before we go, of course, Sheikh Ibrahim. Just before that, you know, the saying goes that nothing for us without us is definitely against us. If you are now saying that you are not consulted before such a very important policy was, drafted or was, kind of put together to reflect whether it's regulatory framework around religious activities in the country, that should be something of a concern. I must suggest that. But again, you also in talks like as a religious body, or for example, PFSL, for example, I know that's a religious sect that is headed by Bishop Akintayo Sanjoli. He's a revered religious scholar in Sierra Leone, and I feel like I want to know from your own perspective, sort of very vast scholar that you have, was he not consulted in a way?
No, like I said, this document was prepared by a consultant. He was not consulted, and it is not they are taking this document to us, the pastors and imams, for us to look at it and to give our own input into it. And that is where we are concerned, because already it's like we're giving an idea of what is going to be like a trap for the people you are putting it for. Yeah, so we are consulted, and that's the reason why we are concerned.
All right. So where you think this particular policy, will take us if consultations are not properly done? You think it will really speak to the necessity of what's being drafted?
No, it will not. It will not. As I said earlier on, it will create more. You know, it's like we are looking for peace. We are looking for cohesion. We are looking for oneness within having this peaceful conversation between the Muslims and the Christians, where we can live in peace. And now in this document, the secret societies have also been included, because we used to have conflict in the provinces, in other places. Now they want to see how they can harmonize us. But we are saying, in doing all of this, there are areas where we feel like if it's going to happen, it's going to be a trap. Now, just to take you quickly into it, we have 24, 2.2, 2.3, 24, 2, 24, 3 in this document I have here, which is the one that is the national policy they are using, which calls for preaching, public preaching events shall be regulated.
Like crusade and the others, is that what they're saying?
Even my sermon on Sunday shall be regulated.
Yeah, because
it's public preaching. Because I have over 100 membership. That's
public speaking.
Public
preaching should be regulated.
Events shall be regulated. Who is going to regulate it?
So what's the reason for that?
Well, it's not stated. That's why I'm saying that the document itself is not clear. So it's just a statement, that one. It's not clear. We don't know what. Not 24.3. Non-compliance shall attract sanctions.
Wow.
What do you mean? So if I don't comply with the rules for public preaching, which I don't know what are your rules, I'm going to be sanctioned. It means, that's why we say it's going to be controlled, it's going to silence people, and it's going to create some amount of fear. And honestly, according to my own scripture, God has not given us the spirit of fear, the spirit of power, the spirit of love, and the spirit of sound mind. So if this document comes into play, there are men that will be silenced.
All right, so now, Sheikh Mohammed Teslim Thomas, in fact, you are from Pastor Favor. Your religious group has really been in the center of many controversies of recent times. And then, of course, we've seen a situation where a particular religious scholar was videotaped. So I've suggested several things that have really raised an eyebrow by society. Now, this particular policy is coming at a time that the ministry feels that religious messages must be regulated. Do you share similar sentiments just as Pastor Favor, insofar as not wanting? Because as religious clerics, you hear from God and then you deliver to the people. Do you think that is a way of clamping down on religious activities in a way?
Thank you very much. Good morning again. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. May peace and blessing be upon all of us. I bring you the felicitation and greeting from the National President of the United Council of Imams, Sierra Leone, Dr. Muhammad Habib Sharif, and the headquarters of the United Council of Imams Leone, with its 68,000 membership. The United Council of Imams has 68,000 membership. First of all, we as United Council of Imams, we agree for strategic objective, for the policy. Number one, to reduce religious conflict. Number two, ensure equality and protect minority rights. Number three, promote national development and stability and strengthen governance and accountability. But our fear is when we go through the old document, it seems like a death trap for the religious leaders. It seems like a death trap for the religious leaders. Maybe I will give a wonderful sermon called Kutuba. All of my congregation appreciated. This Kutuba is nice. Then 30 or 40 minutes, they will invite me to the CID
for questioning.
When all my congregation, 700, because my masjid is very big, then after that, they will take me to CID. And I will...
And your congregants will be looking forward to see you coming back the next week.
Maybe you will come, maybe, because there is a policy now. Okay. The preliminary of the policy, we have concerns that this policy may be cited as the national policy on religious tolerance and cultural practice 2026. We are saying, how can religious tolerance have connection with cultural? How? Then in C, secular statehood under which the state shall remain neutral in religious and cultural matters. Don't they explain respect for human dignity and freedom, including freedom of conscience, religion, belief, and cultural practice. In the explanation of cultural practice means customs, tradition, rights, and social practices recognized by community, including traditional institution and secret society. Our own line ministry is Ministry of Social Welfare. Cultural and tradition is tourism. Other area is local government. How can they blind local government even in the document? Some area need consultation with the Ministry of Education, because we have many points in the policy which have link with the ministry, dress code, freedom of uniform or dressing, all inside this document. And we are religious leaders. And when you go to as United Council of Imams, we have a larger constituency. We have membership all over this nation. When some of our leaders, some of our imams study in Arabic language, they can't read this policy because they study in Arabic language, and we need to explain. So when the most prestigious interreligious council went round for consultation, some of our membership called us and explained that this is a death trap. Okay. Because we are Marabout. Some people are local people. In the document we observe that there should be issuing of permit. Right. And three things in religious preaching is divinity, ordainment, and theology. Divinity, ordainment, and theology. Some people cannot go in Sierra Leone. we have 28 PhD in Islamic study. We have 62 Master in Islamic study. We have about 70 first degree in Islamic study. Then we have about 67,000 preachers just from the local area. We call it quarantine in the Arabic language and local settling. You will go to a Karamoko, you learn through him, then you will be ordained, you will be crowned. And according to United Council of Imams,
yes,
if the community or the vicinity recognizes you as the Imam, we as council, we are going to recognize you.
So Sheikh Thomas, let's talk about what you've done, because you've just seen this document. According to Pastor Numa, they have started going around to now consult religious leaders about this document, and you've seen the document. What have you done so far? Have you engaged the relevant authorities, or even have you asked them to actually bring forward the consultants to sit together to explain better about this document that he has put in together?
You know, we as religious leaders, we are partners in development. This is the first thing. If you check the motto of the United Council of Imam, peace, unity, and development. That's why I raised my hand. We took part in all development in Sierra Leone. I have the evidence. When there was a threat, counter-terrorism, according to social welfare, we made sermons for 6 months in this country. We signed MOU with former Minister Mojo Kaikai twice.
okay,
We, 2018, look at the document, we did a peaceful and no violence election. We circulated our paper all over the country.
certainly.
But this time, we are just called at the Miata conference and we signed an MOU with the minister.
Okay.
We didn't see the document the day we went there.
Don't you think that's even a concern for you just to sign without even knowing what you are signing for? Well, that's just an aside. But I've just been opportune to
before signing, she made some points that for peaceful coexistence, you know, religious tolerance, this is a peaceful nation, the whole world.
without giving you the document.
No, the document was not in our midst.
Okay, so Sheikh, so let's talk about. I've just been fortunate to go through the document, and I've even seen a place where if with this document that there will not even be an inter-religious council. So because they are asking for a national interfaith, then you will not have inter-religious council anymore. And even the schools that you have with your institutions, they are asking that those schools should be regulated, and you have to go through is it government before putting your policies together,
including the syllabus.
Which means you have even though you have your institutions, you are managing. For example, the Catholic, they have their schools, but their policies should come from the government. Is this also a concern?
All this is our concern, you know, because, for example, we want to say thanks to the consultant. He did his job. He did it well according to his capability, you know. But we are not consulted before that. So what is our own stance? Like normally, anytime we want to regulate something, we'll have a panel of consultants. And this so important, the Ministry of Education should be involved, local government should be involved, tourism should be involved, even the Attorney General office should be involved, and all the main Islamic and Christian organizations. Because in the document, we should respect Muslim, Christian, other faiths, other entities. Even if someone come now, he said like long time, 30 years, someone come that he has a new religion called Didima Bayeso, stay at Mabela.
And this document is saying that they should be accepted.
We should, of course. Or if it's like that time, 30 years back, he said, well, we are not going. People are going to Hajj. About 2,000 more Sailonians go.
Certainly.
He said we should not go to Hajj in Makkah Mukarrama, in Mecca. We should go, don't go, there was a water side in Gambia. We should go perform our Hajj and return. You should not oppose it.
So it deviates from the Islamic
Of
culture.
course. And when you see in the document, there was a clause, 8 species and incitement. We are not legally inclined. What is 8 species? You know, we should respect one another.
Certainly.
Even in Sierra Leone, if you check the different books, I study comparative religion in a model, in a module, you know, comparative religion. In the Quran, there is a chapter, Surah An-Nisa, that crucifixion didn't take place. But in the Bible, crucifixion take place. In the Quran, Qul Wallahu had fee, and other one like that. So we just have, we don't know what is 8 species and incitement when it comes to theology.
Okay. All right. Going to stay us in the program is Sheikh Mohammed Taslim Thomas, of course, a member from the National Mufti, of course, talking to us on this very important topic today, on the national policy on religious tolerance and practices, a proposed policy by the Ministry of Social Welfare. I believe it's also a safe place for us now to usher in Sheikh Ibrahim Bari. He's a member of the Inter-Religious Council, and then of course Sheikh Ibrahim Bari.
And with this new document, their office
becomes redundant, you know. And, I believe it's also a concern for
maybe it's just a change of name.
Yeah, maybe. But certainly, let's welcome him. Good morning, welcome to the program, Sheikh Ibrahim Bari.
Yes, good morning. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you for joining us from to another studio. Of course, take us through this particular proposed policy. If all goes as it is, makes the Inter-Religious Council umbrella body for religious activity, especially between Muslims and Christians in Sierra Leone, for decades, to become redundant, almost incapacitated to perform its core functions of promoting religious tolerance in the country, and of course the major role you've been playing in terms of national development. Do you also hear from religious clerics in the studio, both from the Christian and the Islamic faith? Is this also a concern for your umbrella body?
Yes, thank you very much. First of all, I would like to thank you for having me. And I'm here representing the leadership of the Inter-Religious Council, headed by Archbishop Dr. Charles and Alhaji Muqtada Sisi as Vice President 1. So I'm not here representing the ministry, or the consultant, the Inter-Religious Council. But let me give you a background. A few weeks or months ago, we were approached by the Ministry of Social Welfare to raise concern about the increasing level of some statements being made by the clergy, and which caused some, disturbances. I think you're aware of that.
Certainly, we saw that. We saw him mediated to ensure that.
So the police came in. The police said we are mandated to maintain law and order. We don't care your religion, but if you commit certain offences, you have to come in. So we have to intervene and say no. He's a clergy and he meant this and that. So we resolve it. But again, the ministry told us that we are living in a dynamic world. We are peaceful here, alhamdulillah, thank you. But that doesn't mean that we should not improve, our safety measures. Around us, there's a lot of volatility, including in the Western area, West African region.
Yes.
So somebody might just one day come in and make another statement against another religion, which will incite other people to, So they came up with this proposed, let me call it a proposed, and it is a proposed national policy. In fact, it's not a policy as such, because when you say a policy, it's an advanced stage of, regulating something. It's still at the initial stage.
Draft.
And it was contracted to a religious person.
On that note, just before you continue, dear Sheikh Bari, this is a suggestion that you are consulted anyway.
No, we are told that the ministry has the intention because they are mandated by law to look after religious affairs in this country. So in their wisdom, or in their policy, whatever, they said, no, we should do something to strengthen the religious tolerance, okay?
Meaning you are not consulting when this formulation?
No. Well, let me put it this way.
Yes.
They ask a religious leader who is a father, a scholar, to put up some ideas, okay, and give it to us, for us to study it and put our own ideas in it. Okay. But we are told that this policy is on. Okay. We are not taken by surprise to see this document. We have been told based on those frictions that we had in the past weeks. Yes, the minister told us that, oh, I want to develop something, but we'll all come together and improve it. Okay. So when this document came out, we told the minister or the ministry that Freetown is not Sierra Leone. We have to go to the provinces, and they approved it. So last week we were in Kenema, Bo, Otloko, and Makini to cover the regions. Okay? And we met both Muslims and Christian leaders just to tell them that there is a proposed policy, or call it regulatory framework or whatever. But go through it and suggest what you want to suggest and bring it back to the Inter-Religious Council, where the intermediary with the Ministry of Social Welfare. But now it is obvious people will just understand differently, So a lot of critique, which is very good, by the way. This is the purpose of this document. It's for us to get all these ideas. It's for us to get all this concern. But there is misconception somehow, which we need to clarify. First of all, it is a proposal. It's not a law or a bill or an act. Okay.
But the young guys coming because there are so many well from the words of the two religious faith we have in the studio. Many of them are really mind blowing. To really say you might want to curtail the message of religious clay that you deliver, because I'm not so much of a religious person, but my pastor will tell me he gets inspiration from God before coming to the church on a Sunday morning to deliver a sermon. So that particular message comes only from God. So if he's standing on the pulpit on a Sunday morning preaching to us, and then the police walks in that we are not satisfied with this message you are preaching, that becomes a concern. Is it not a concern for you?
Okay, that is your own interpretation.
No, we are telling misconception. That's what I want to know.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. It is very clear in this country that freedom of religion is enshrined in the Constitution.
Certainly.
So no law will be passed that will protect the freedom of religion.
If it deems otherwise. If it deems otherwise.
No, unless you go to a referendum and follow the amendment in the Constitution. These are enshrined, entrenched clauses in the Constitution. Okay? If you make a law that will go against an entrenched clause, you are committing a treason. Okay? So the freedom of religion, freedom of expression, freedom of association, it is enshrined in the Constitution. Let us agree on that first. Okay? Secondly, this is the ideas of a consultant. His name is there. Okay? Now it is up to us, including the Inter-Religious Council, we are going to sit also on our own, okay, to study this document and bring out our ideas and our solution, okay. So the Western area, urban and rural, will get a time, maybe this week, to have a general meeting with all religious leaders. And the consultant will be there, because I'm not the consultant. He will be standing in front of us and explain what he meant by ABCD, and also respond to that. So that opportunity will come very soon. I want to show the Western area, urban and rural religious leaders.
So Sheikh, let's talk about the Inter-Religious Council. From what you are saying, you are aware. Yes, we are also aware that there was a policy being put together, because we had the minister in our studios when we had those messages coming from.
I'm also surprised that Sheikh is very worried as to.
Yes, so
if
she was.
The religious council is going to be.
So she was on TV and she was saying yes that they are going to put a policy. She was very. Well, I don't want to say adamant, but very blunt about it, that they were going to put out a policy that would control the activities of religious groups in Sierra Leone. You are somehow the intermediary between this the ministry and you, the people you are representing in the Inter-Religious Council. You were opportune to see this document even before your followers. Why was this document not taken to your members before even telling the ministry that yes, this is the document you've given to us, but we need to meet our members, and then after which we'll do a national campaign? Why?
Well, I cannot speak for the ministry how they operate.
No, I'm talking about the
What the Intelligence Council did was, let us get this document, and let us not be make a monopoly of it in Freetown. Let us go all over the country and take it there and give them the chance, like what we are doing now. As I'm speaking to you now, religious leaders in the East, in the South, in the Northwest, they are all now sitting down and going through this document to send their feedback. And this feedback I want to mention is very, very important to determine the future of this policy.
All right, sir, let us assume.
Now, let me quickly say, maybe I'm worried about the Intelligence Council. This is just a proposal from the consultant to have an interfaith council. It doesn't mean that we are going to scrap the Intelligence Council. If we agree,
then of what use if you have interfaith and intelligence?
Let me explain. If we agree that this Intelligence Council, it is an interfaith council, by the way. It's doing an interfaith function, bringing Muslims and Christians together for the past how many years. So if we agree that, let us strengthen the Intelligence Council, we'll go ahead with it. It's not a decree that we are going to scrap the Intelligence Council.
All right, definitely Sheikh Ibrahim will come back to you. But let's quickly have to take a short commercial break, and then we'll come back and continue the conversation here this morning. The program is Good Morning Sierra. Keep watching.
As a mother of the house, whenever I want to prepare palm soup, there's no need pounding palm fruit. All I need is Nkulenu's Ghana's original palm soup base. My soup is done, and its preparation, it is not difficult at all. Nkulenu palm soup base, it's easily done with no difficulties. Just take few ladles and your soup is done. And its flavor, it's amazing. This is Nkulenu's Ghana's original palm soup base. And this is Nkulenu's Ghana's original spiced palm soup base. Iron fruit and turkey berries are naturally added.
Also available Brown Gold natural cocoa powder, Sunny Gold brown sugar, neat fufu flour, shito, pisa, and moringa. All available at Nyami Ado Enterprise, 1 Lower Waterloo Street, Freetown.
Nkulenu palm soup base.
Ghanaian original taste.
Well, this is Good Morning Sierra Leone live on your screen, and we are your presenters. My name is Frances Bernard, and Dennis Fraser is my co-presenter this morning. In 11 days' time, Dennis will be celebrating his birthday. Happy birthday in advance, Dennis.
Thank you so very much, Frances.
I know you've been waiting for this.
Definitely, I'll be waiting.
All right, so
I know gift to you.
Yes. Before we went for that break, we were talking to an executive member of the Interreligious Council of Sierra Leone, and he is Sheikh Ibrahim Bai. And we also have in the studios Pastor Favor S. Numa, General Secretary, Pentecostal Fellowship of Sierra Leone. And also we have Sheikh Mohammed Teslim Thomas. He is a National Mufti United Council of Imams. This is Good Morning Sierra Leone. If you have questions for the topic being discussed here, just send them to the number on your screen or go to our Facebook page, slbc.sl. We'll definitely read them out. So we are now going back to you, Reverend Pastor Numa. Now, from what we've learned from Sheikh Ibrahim is that this is just a draft document, and it is possible that most of the concerns you have will be replaced by ones that will favor or ones that will be even more difficult than the ones we have, because this is just a draft document and they are not going around the country. They will definitely have to come to you. You just said it, that before the end of this week or so, or maybe early next week, the Western area will be engaged for them to give their own thoughts on this topic. And you are now even talking even before you are being consulted.
And this is the saying there's no need for panic.
Well, to say that we are talking before we are consulted, consultation has already been common. Yeah, they are just coming from the provinces.
Yes, he said that they are coming from the regions because it's a national document. Therefore, they want to consult Freetown. He started by saying that Freetown is not Sierra Leone.
I'm saying you said that I've already started talking.
No, it's not only you. We've seen commentaries from religious leaders. Not only
do you know the reason for that? Is when you try to be you try to be technical in keeping certain information, not letting those who, you see, going to the provinces, like Sheikh Bari rightly said, when he's going there, remember those people who are there, their overseers are in town.
Sure.
So my first point of call was saying that why can't not reach out to the heads of institutions like Sheikh is here already. He has a command over a very big body. Bring these people together. First be the point of call to talk about this. They give you their opinions, and then you take it to the...
So, Pastor Favor and Numa, I want to hold you there and quickly go to Sheikh Bari. Sheikh, in development communication, it's always good, you from what you've done now, is like the bottom approach, which is, I want to believe, which is why you are getting this, we are getting this discussion here today, because if you had started from the top, but by the time you get to the provinces, some of these leaders in the Western area might have communicated to those in the regions. Don't you think that approach is what is causing this panic that you are talking about?
Again, let me mention this thing. The Inter-Religious Council is manned by 18 umbrella organizations, including all the sects in this country, the Ahmadis, the Shiites, plus the main branches of the Christian bodies, Catholic, even the professors. We have Rabbi Tambayo is the representative. We have received a copy of this concept note over 3 weeks ago or 1 month ago among the executive of the Inter-Religious Council. So if somebody from the Pentecostal or other body did not receive it, well, they should ask their representative in the Inter-Religious Council. But in this document, not this particular document, but a similar document has been shared among us to go through to get an idea of the structure or the component or the flavor of this particular.
But I'm also pushed to ask you a question. What is the synergy between Inter-Religious Council and, of course, you just said you are really representing?
Okay, can I get you the background? It was formed in 1997 at the height of the war.
Okay. I'm trying to talk about the relationship.
Yeah, we have umbrella bodies.
Because there seems to be like a communication gap in your way.
We have umbrella bodies, okay, represented in the Inter-Religious Council. Okay. Major umbrella bodies, both Muslims and Christians. They are members of the Inter-Religious Council. And the executive membership, for example, I'm representing the Supreme Islamic Council. Okay. Alaji Momodu Koroma, for example, is representing the United Council of Imam, and so on and so forth. Okay. So normally, what we do at the executive is like the UN. The representative of Sierra Leone in the UN, will be there on behalf of Sierra Leone. So when I'm in the Inter-Religious Council, if there is anything shared in the executive, it is my duty to inform my umbrella organization. But again, let us go to the serious point. This document, why we started with provinces, in the wisdom of the ministry, the bulk of the population is in the west, is in the provinces. We're talking about a region versus 3 or 4 regions. So it is very difficult to cover the regions than in the western area here, urban and rural.
But you have seen that difficulty now because maybe you don't have confidence in the heads of these religious groups in Freetown. Because like Pastor Favor said, they are leaders or heads of those religious, for example, his church or the EFSL. The president of the EFSL is resident in Freetown. It's the United Councils of Imam. The president, I believe, is also resident in Freetown. It's easy for them to communicate to their congregants and for you to even take the journey to the provinces.
Okay.
But so far the point, just before you build about that point, let's also assume, without considering the fact that now that you are engaging in the provinces, now that you are taking this approach of maybe ignoring them for now, go to the provinces, get to, the few people who might easily be swayed for not understanding the content of this particular national policy on religious tolerance and practices. But their fear now is, this is a very critical topic we are talking about. When we talk about religious issues, these are not issues that they are going to play with, because we've seen a lot of times, even in countries in the sub-region, you see what is happening in Nigeria, Cameroon, for example. This is something like in the, I'm not here to speak for or all belief for the Ministry of Social Welfare, but I think there's necessity to this, and I believe the pastor here or the imam here is not disputing that fact. But what they are saying, there should be room for proper consultation before taking the documents even out in the public.
Let me inform you this. The president of the PFSA, okay, has a proper idea and knowledge about this document.
Okay.
He will wrote the minister, the Honorable Minister of Social Welfare, after receiving the document.
But because
that was before we even go to the provinces. He got the document, he was critical about the document, he wrote personally to the ministry, to the Honorable Minister of Social Welfare, and the minister responded to him. This is just to show you that this document was not a secret document here in Freetown. Well, I don't want to go into the communication between their president and the minister, but they are aware, they had the document, and other religious leaders also got a copy of this document and they responded. Before we go to the
critic before now have also pointed accusing fingers at the Inter-Religious Council to really be reneging in its role, in terms of, because we've seen Inter-Religious Council over the years championing critical issues, that has to do with state welfare and of course security matters. We saw during the 2007 election the role he played, even in 2012, but that was not seen in 2023, for example. And we've seen you being silent for a while. Just after we are championing or raising your objection over the safe mother bills in Parliament, we saw you go quiet. Is that the case?
Okay, give us resources. We don't have resources, but we are trying. Let me also clarify this. Okay, it is wrong to call our people in the provinces as timid, or maybe they are not that, effective. Let me tell you, the ideas that we got from the province.
No, I'm sure no one said that here.
No, you mentioned that. If we go there, we may, persuade them. They will not be,
Yeah, but that doesn't mean they're timid.
No. What I'm saying is that, let me tell you this now.
Yes.
The ideas we got from the provinces will amaze you. It was in the provinces somebody called this policy a trap. It was in the provinces somebody called this policy a poison. To tell you how critical they are.
Okay.
And we have the opportunity to speak. It was from the provinces somebody suggested that we should also reduce the resident permit fees for missionaries who come to this country to help in making. So we got a lot of brilliant ideas from the provinces. Okay, so it's not in futile, the talk that we did in the provinces. Okay. Now you talk about 2023 election. See, the Inter-Religious Council, we are not a typical NGO. Okay, we don't operate like other NGOs operate. Most of our work is done, we have our own way of doing things, okay? This 2023 election, by the way, we were very active before, during, and after. Okay. We played a great role in formulating the agreement of national unity. In fact, we are a signatory to the Bintu Manning communique with the Commonwealth. So we engage all stakeholders, okay, including the OMS, okay, the police, the military. We engage the judiciary, okay, we engage the ECSL, we did a lot, but we did not come out just to say this is what we are doing. So if you see today things are moving somehow easy for us.
Oh, at this point, let me bring in Sheikh.
I was making a point when yes, so let me just clarify something in that area, please. I refused to talk about the document my president received. You know why?
No.
Because what is taken to the provinces is not the same to what my president received to our representative in the Interreligious Council.
So wait, let's make clarification.
I'm coming on.
Are you saying that this document that you have now,
let me learn. You understand what I'm trying to say?
Okay, go ahead.
This document here is what was taken to the provinces and what is going to be taken to the Western area. This document. So since we have this one and we are coming for this discussion, I decided to talk about this. This one my president received through our representative. Got my president worried, and he decided to write a letter to the minister.
Is it different from what you have?
There are some differences, major differences in it. That's why I don't talk about it. Let me just land. You understand what I'm trying to say? So when my president wrote the minister, the response of the minister made me. I have the document here. It's the second draft. I did not talk about it because the minister said this document was not meant to be sent out. So my president should not respond to this document. It is premature at that stage. So if the minister says so, why should I talk about this?
So Pastor Favor, what you are saying, just before you land on that point, are you saying that the letter was different from whether the regulatory measures, mandatory certification?
If you want to talk about these two documents,
on coexistence,
I will read some things to let you know.
No, I just want to make it clear. Was that particular letter different from mandatory certification, for example, code of conduct?
Which letter are you talking about?
The letter that was
the document that was
sent to your president.
Yeah, like I'm saying, there are things here you cannot see here. There are things here you cannot see here.
But you said it was completely different.
I did not say completely different. Okay. So that's why I want you to really listen to what I'm saying. I did not talk about this document that Sheikh Ibali has made a reference to, that we had this document before now.
So how did you get this one?
I'm coming now.
How did you get the document that is being taken?
This is the one they are taking to the provinces and we have our representative.
But that was not given to you.
This one?
Yes.
This one?
Yes.
I'm coming, let me just finish.
Yeah,
our representative, listen.
What we are saying,
hold on, please.
Following this program.
Yes, hold on,
we are
please.
doing all of this. No, I'm coming. We are doing all of it in as much as you are religious scholars, yes, and of course you have your interest. Yeah. But the people out there bear the greatest bonds because this is a very sensitive topic we are dealing with. It has to be deal with the religious beliefs of people, and like Sheikh Ibrahim said, it's hard.
You know what we're available on this point?
No, sir.
If you allow me to explain why I
don't have the luxury of time.
That's why your interjection will take the time. Listen to me. The reason why we are not talking about this, the minister said this document that my president wrote a letter to him about was not meant to be sent out. It was a mistake. So we consider this document not to talk about it. But if Shebali is saying that we have this document before now, that's what I'm trying to say. This document they are taking out was not the one that my president received.
So my question is, how did you receive this one?
Our representatives, how they are. They are in the regions.
So this was only given to your people in the region and not to you people?
Not to us.
So this, what's the difference between this document and the other one? Just give us one key difference.
Now, let me just look at this one very quick.
So meanwhile, let's be talking to Sheikh Thomas. Now, Sheikh, this is a draft document, and you definitely be consulted according to what we've heard from your representative at the Interreligious Council. That yes, they are going to meet you people, and you are going to discuss this document. If you have the opportunity, what are the areas do you think that should be changed?
Thank you very much. Like my senior colleague, Sheikh Ibrahim Bari said, we have representation at the Interreligious Council, Alaji MT Koroma. Whenever he receive information, we will bring it to our national assembly.
So was this document given to you?
This document was given after they took off to the provinces. So
were you at any time informed, not about the information, not about the meeting you had at Miata Conference Center, but we are talking about whether, just like Pastor Favor is saying, that a letter, a document was sent to his leader, and in return there was a letter, a reply or a letter written to the ministry. Were you at any point given the opportunity to get this document?
Of course.
Okay.
Because
so it was sent to you from the ministry?
No, they sent the document to my secretariat.
Okay.
So my secretariat sent it to my own office as the Mufti office. The Mufti office is responsible for all legal.
So in other words, you received.
I received. This is the document.
That's just the clarification.
When I received the document, I started do my assignment, and my representative told me that there will be a consultative meeting here.
So, Sheikh Mohammed Teslim Thomas, of course, we know, I mean, there are some propositions in this particular proposals that you might really be subscribed to. Because, of course, I know there are a lot of other issues under contention, but for the regulatory measures that has to do with policy to introduce national registry for religious institutions, license of imam, pastor, these are things you've been adhering to long even before now. And of course the code of conduct, I believe that is where you really have a bottleneck with how your code of conduct will be regulated, especially your messages that you share in your masjids, in your pulpits, and of course, what is really the bone of contention here regarding the messages or your sermons or teachings?
Number one, we agree Sierra Leone shall operate a secular state. This is entrenched, you know. But when you check 13:1 and 2, marriage and family life, cultural and religious marriage shall be recognized where consistent with national law. Okay. We have this. Some of us are registrar for marriage and divorce, all it is. But when you check 13:2, all marriages must comply with legal requirements relating to age, consent, and human rights.
So inclusive, why do you think this?
We are afraid that they will bring same-sex marriage. If someone called like the last time we had the Waterloo incident, and that man was quoted as an imam. He was not a member.
So that makes it very useful for the registration of religious.
Maybe they will bring that area of human rights.
How about the registration? Do you agree with
it? We agree with it.
Also, do you want to agree with me that over the past few months or almost a year, we've seen where this issue of hate speech and religious making some statements that are really not good for the progress of religion in our country, because Sierra Leone is rated as one of the
religious tolerant
countries, and if we have such statements, not only from Islamic leaders, but we've also seen other people also coming out to bring out
Muslims and Christians peacefully.
So do you think with this you're in line for that? Are you in line for the regulation of what people say, or especially those who are not registered with the National Council of Imams or your institution that regulates?
If you look at the policy 21, a national system shall monitor risk such as hate speech, sectarianism, radicalization, you know. If you look at this area, we need explanation. What is hate speech? You know, what is radicalization? Because some areas have their doctrines.
All right.
You know?
Okay, Sheikh, thank you very much. Quickly.
You're asking for something.
Yeah.
24 of this document that is being used not to go around talks about licensing and oversight.
Okay.
And here you will see the only focus on what? Religious institutions, religious broadcasts shall be licensed. Public preaching event shall be regulated. Now, but when you come to this document, there is a direct issue of the individual.
Okay.
To say Christians and leaders, pastors, reverend imams, priests, and imams and others, completion of accredited seminary theological training. But here you will not see anything about the individual, you see about institution. So there are other things in it. Like I'm saying, we are concerned that this document needs more deliberation, which the ministry has asked the Interreligious Council to lead.
Okay.
We are saying we need more of this deliberation,
so you have your
and it should have been the other way around to meet with the experts. But we are still looking forward where we'll have more deliberations to ensure that the proper thing be done.
All right. Thank you very much. He's Pastor Favor Numa from the Evangelical Fellowship of Sierra Leone. Quickly,
check by. So when are you meeting with the West?
Well, again, the ministry will determine that, but very soon. I want to assure religious leaders that they will have a time when the real consultants will come in front of them, not me, and they will have the chance to ask it. But again, what is important here is not the consultant's idea. It is our response to the document. Okay, this is very important. Read it, criticize it or comment on it, but note down the areas that you think it's not good for religion.
All right. Thank you very much. Well, this is how we bring the curtain down for today's edition of the program. Good morning. Say many thanks to our guest, Sheikh Bayi from Inter-Religious Council, Sheikh Teslim Thomas from the National Council of Imams, and also Pastor Favor Numa from Pentecostal Fellowship of Sierra Leone. This is Good Morning Sierra Leone. Many thanks to our producer Daphne Zainab Kamal for putting this program together. My name is Francis Banner. Have a lovely and wonderful day.
And I'm Dennis Fraser. From all of us here at Broadcasting House, our quote for today from Martin Thomas says, "Every moment and every event of every man's life on earth plants something in his soul." That's something I bet you. Thank you very much.
For send money overseas, where you use AfriMoney and BNB